got to talk about Bill de Blasio. So, I mean, I lived in New York for this guy's entire term as mayor, both of them. And he ruined New York. We could go down the list of the number of ways in which he ruined New York. One of the main ways was he created these weird incentives that allowed the huge mega stores to prosper, like the big CVS chains and Starbucks chains and big Citibank chains to prosper, and edging out the mom and pop shops that made New York, New York. You know, the corner delis, the corner pharmacies owned by, the guy whose name you know. And the streets of New York changed dramatically as a result. And then that's not even to touch on the homelessness, the drugs, and then ultimately the defunding of the police and the demoralization of the police, which changed the streets of New York. So you would think that even the New York Times, which fully understands what he did to Manhattan and the five boroughs entirely, would be a little skeptical of giving this guy a fawning profile. But that's what they did, because what he was trying to say was, I have this quirky marriage and we're so cool and progressive that we want to celebrate a different way of doing marriage, which is to have an open marriage, I guess, where you're no longer faithful to one another. Nobody moves out of the marital home, but you start dating other people. The way they ended the piece was with de Blasio quoting two favored phrases of his wife's: labels put people in boxes, and those boxes are shaped like coffins. Another one, quote, I never want to be stuck. And another one prized by de Blasio's brother, who's a Tibetan Buddhist, quote, avoid attachments. That was written into your vows to Chelsea, was it not? Avoid attachments.
Yeah.
I never want to be stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. This is where we're heading. I found that in the world, there's at least two groups of people when I'm looking for answers to problems. There's the reporters and there's the reformers. There are those who sit back and sort of report and comment on all the bad things that are happening. And after a while, I stop listening to them because I'm already on board that we've got a problem. What I'm looking for is the solution. And then I find that there are reformers who actually want to bring about change. The problem is, people like this are reformers that are looking to reform things, but they don't have the right standard to reform to. So if you don't know what marriage really is, that it's this sacred, soul-fusing, body combining into one flesh relationship that is to be honored, and it's excluding all others, then you're going to reform marriage in a way that actually deforms it. And that's what we've been doing. We've gotten rid of the straight stick, to reference my previous metaphor, with the crook, and replaced it with a crooked stick. And now anything is acceptable. That actually means that you can't really attach truth to reality anymore. And what is false and what is harmful or hurtful, or is going to produce shame and guilt and pain, is actually being championed. So at the end of the day, I believe that we need to get back to the real definitions of sacred things like children and family and marriage and gender. And I don't have to look too much further than the words of an ancient Jewish carpenter named Jesus of Nazareth, who, when he was asked by the religious people of the day, is it okay for a man to divorce his wife for any reason at all? Jesus held up the honor of this relationship. And he said, from the beginning, it's been said that a man shall leave his father and his mother. He created mankind in male and female. He will join together with his wife, and the two will become one flesh. And right there, we have the straight stick definition of gender, of marriage, and sexuality. And 4,000 years of Judeo-Christian ethics and definition of marriage and family has produced the very best results. If we start tinkering with that, we're going to be like the mad scientist, Dr. Frankenstein, who creates a monster and then you don't know what to do with it. And if that becomes the new normal for marriage and family, we can only imagine the chaos that's going to come from it.
He had the gall to tweet out the story with the following phrase: this is a love story. It's not a love story. It is nothing that I recognize as love. If you marry someone and you have a troubled marriage, or you decide after all your years together you don't want to be with them, I do believe in divorce. I've had one, although I'm guilted over the fact that I haven't yet had it annulled. I've talked about it on the show many times. I'm working on that. But I don't believe in desecrating the institution of marriage by staying in it and still calling yourself marriage and calling it a love story while you invite another man into your bed in your marital home as he walks past the pictures of you and your family on the way to your bedroom. That's not normal, and I'm not going to support it.
Yeah, right. Unless you're trouncing on your husband's desires that he feels most comfortable with, and now you are the one who's discriminating against somebody who prefers an open relationship. So, right, it really comes down to what's good, what's right, what's true, what's honoring. Are there any things that are sacred, and by what definition? And so that's what I think we need to decide as a society.
He says in the piece,
what are we going to come back to?
He says in the piece, first of all, she was an out lesbian when they got married. So this is a word, like, don't marry a lesbian if you're a man. Okay, this is
so there was a clue,
right? Just like, you don't have to be a relationship like Dr. Phil to know that it's a no. Then second of all, there's an interesting quote in here where he says, I should have said more to her. Are you happy? What will make you happy? What's missing in your life? And honestly, I wonder what you think about this, Kirk, because my first reaction was, no, that's actually not the job of a spouse. That's our own jobs for ourselves, to ask ourselves, to figure out for ourselves what will make us happy, what's missing in our lives, and to work on filling that by ourselves. Your relationship to your partner, it's not there, quote, to make you happy. It's your partners. You go through life together. You're thinking all day about what you can do that's going to lift up yourself and lift up your family. But it's not about going to the other person and saying, what's missing in your life? I will fill it. I will fix it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I've been married for 32 years. And so I've found, and I've learned through a school of hard knocks and trial and error, that, man, if I focus on my spouse making me happy, that's a losing strategy. Yes. Because I think, who makes you happy? God is the one who fills the deepest desires of your heart. And that happens when we start with gratitude and we say, wow, I'm breathing. I'm alive on planet Earth. And for some of us, I'm alive in the greatest country in the world during a time where I can make a real difference against the forces of darkness. And if I'm so fortunate to be married, wow, I want to serve you, not to make you happy, but because I want to do that in order to demonstrate to God that I'm grateful for you.
You did the tough thing during COVID. You paid your people and pulled your business through the pandemic. And now that decision to do the tough thing could qualify you for up to $26,000 per employee at covidtaxrelief.org. Think of it. It's a pot of money already allocated, sitting there for those who qualify. Government funds are available right now to reward companies with 2 or more employees who stayed open during COVID. It's not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. The program is, of course, complicated. They never make it easy on you, but no one knows more about it than the CPAs and tax pros at covidtaxrelief.org. You don't have to pay a thing up front. These guys are going to do all the work for you, and then if they get cash for you, they share a percentage of it. Businesses of all types, including nonprofits and churches, can qualify. Even if you took a PPP loan, you could qualify, and even if you had increases in your sales. You did the tough thing for your employees during COVID. Now let covidtaxrelief.org help get you up to $26,000 per employee. Visit covidtaxrelief.org. That's covidtaxrelief.org, covidtaxrelief.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.